At 12 enrollment centers, like this one at a Manhattan Public Library, residents who can prove their identity and city residency can sign up for a new municipal ID card. The card is offered to all city residents, including illegal immigrants. It allows them to open bank accounts, enroll a child in school, or gain access to hospitals, all actions that require a valid picture ID. In the first month, the city has had more than 150 scheduled appointments to enroll for the card.
This is a way for those individuals to feel a little more security in their day-to-day life.
Betsy Plum of New York Immigration Coalition says New York has more than 500,000 undocumented residents. New York is just one of a handful of cities, including San Francisco, which offers municipal IDs. But more cities are following suit. Nisha Argawal, New York Commissioner of Immigrant Affairs, says that's because cities can take steps to address local immigration policy, even without a federal mandate.
Can still make life better, easier, more fruitful for everyone who's living here, including undocumented immigrants.
Proponents of the card say that illegal immigrants are at risk specifically because they don't have any form of ID.
Also, if you're the victim of a crime, not being afraid to call the police because you don't have any way to prove who you are.
Antonio, originally from Ecuador, has lived in the U.S. since 1992. Today, he has no valid documentation, something that is having a big impact on his life.
I had a work permit until 2007, and with that permit I bought a house where I pay the water, mortgage, everything you need for a house. I pay everything. But my work permit is now expired, and the ID that I had from the DMV is also expired, so now I need a new one in order to pay my taxes and everything else, because all these years I've continued to pay my taxes.
Some opponents say New York City is going beyond reasonable protection for illegal immigrants and making it easier for people to break the law. Ira Melman of the Federation for American Immigration Reform via Skype.
No city or municipal government ought to be in a position of impeding the federal government's ability to carry out immigration law. Essentially what New York City is doing is aiding and abetting people who are violating federal immigration law.
Mayors from around the country gathered in New York City recently to pledge support for and work together on local immigration initiatives.
Banding together with our fellow cities around the country and showing the reality on the ground, that will then push up on the national debate and show that being pro-immigrant, having a progressive immigrant policy is better and not worse for the country.
Immigration advocates say the ID cards do a lot to protect vulnerable residents, but there is still a long way to go for comprehensive immigration reform to become a reality. Daniela Schrier, VOA News, New York.